entire 15 seconds, correct?
Due to the limitations of the video, I cannot make a determination with that.
Okay, now I'm going to show you Exhibit 13, which is the slowed version of that enhanced video, okay? And I'm going to ask that, I'm going to play it and ask that that be published, Judge.
It's published.
Okay. Now, just so you haven't started it yet, don't start it. So this video will be 30 seconds in length because you've made it slower, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and I may stop it at a point and ask you a question about it, okay?
Understood.
Go ahead and play it. Okay, you would agree that the time, that latter part of the video, when the two of them, when you see what appears to be Mr. Davies coming, and then shortly thereafter, we see him moving forward, that event is only maybe 2 or 3 seconds. Would you agree?
Again,
and I realize we make this half speed, so.
We're, again, the length of time has been increased because I've slowed it down to comment on those interactions. Again, that was not part of my request for my opinion on that.
No, I understand, but you can tell us what the clock says. So if it said 4 seconds on this slowed video, that would be 2 seconds.
That would be correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. And so, and then you use that other kind of recording, which was, I think, was it all slowed, or we had one that was real time and one that was slowed, is that right?
That is correct.
And so we'd have the same circumstance, and to the extent you can see things, it's a fairly short period of time when the two of them are really close to each other, is that right?
Again, as to the actions pertaining to that, I was not requested to provide an opinion on that.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, I've lost track. Was that recross or cross? That was cross.
Cross.
Redirect?
No, no redirect.
Thank you. May this witness be released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any
Yes, thank
objection? All right, Mr. Armstrong, you can go about the rest of your day. Thank you. State have next witness.
Yes, the state calls Jennifer Davies.
All right, Ms. Davies. Step up there, raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, have a seat. You see that black bar with the red light? Keep your voice up so you can hear me, all right? But you pull in close. You can move that mic closer to you on the tape. Just so we can hear you, all right? All right, counsel, your witness.
Thank you. Ms. Davies, can you, first of all, state your full name for the record?
Jennifer Davies.
And how do you spell your last name?
Davies.
Okay. Ms. Davies, can you tell us where do you live?
In Delafield.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a hairstylist.
Do you have a business?
Yes.
And what is it called?
Hair by Jen.
How long have you been a hairstylist?
23 years.
And were you married to anyone?
Yes.
And was that person Joshua Davies?
Yes.
Okay. When did you and Josh meet?
10 years ago.
So around 2014 or so?
Yeah, around there, yes.
How long after you met did you get engaged?
2 days. Literally. That's when he asked.
And how long after that did you get married?
A year.
So you were married to Josh Davies from 2014 to 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the court reporter, you'll have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So back in 2023, how tall was Josh?
6 feet.
About 6 feet. Back in 2023, about how much did he weigh?
150 pounds.
Okay. Was he a real muscular guy?
He's very lean.
Very lean. He was a skinny guy.
Yes.
Okay. Where did Josh work during this time?
At Badgerland, landscaping,
How long did he work at Badgerland?
off and on for I think 15 years.
And when you two were married back in 2023, where did you two reside?
In Delafield,
In Delafield. Do you have any children?
yes, I have one.
You have
son.
one child, okay. Did Josh have any kids?
He did, he had 2.
And who all lived with you and Josh at your residence in Delafield?
Just my son.
And I want to now fast forward a little bit to Saturday, June 17th of 2023. Do you remember this date?
Yes.
So first of all, during the day, what were you doing on Saturday?
I was working.
You were working at Hair by Jen.
Yes.
And how long were you working that day?
Until about 3 in the afternoon.
And when
9 to
did
3?
Okay, when did you start?
9 o'clock in the morning.
So you had a full day of work.
Yes.
And do you know what Josh was doing that day?
I believe he was disc golfing.
Was he working?
No, he was not working
Was there somebody he was disc golfing with?
with Brian.
And what's Brian's last name?
Richardson?
And about how long had Brian and Josh been friends?
A very long time. Since high school, they grew up together.
After you had worked, after Josh was done disc golfing, did you guys agree to go to downtown Heartland for a concert or?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that. How did that all happen?
Well, first I got off of work and we went to Belfry for some food or snack, and then we went to Enter's to get dinner with Brian.
So about what time were you at Belfry?
4.
And was it just you and Josh, or just you and Josh? Okay. And after that, when did you meet up with Brian?
I believe around 6:37.
Did you all drive together to Enters?
Yes, we drove with Brian.
Okay. So neither you or Josh were driving that night?
No.
And why did you go out to Enters or to downtown Heartland that night?
Brian wanted to go out for the first time since his brother passed away, and it was important that we were there for him.
So you go to Enters at around 7 o'clock, and Enters is another bar or food place.
It was a restaurant. We went for dinner.
And what bar or place did you go next after getting done with Enters and eating?
I believe we just went straight to the concert.
And do you know what bar that concert was at?
It was Beer Snobs.
Okay, Beer Snobs. And where was the concert at Beer Snobs?
It was in a back area, and I think a closed street.
On a close street. So it was outside.
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember around what time you got to Beer Snobs and this concert?
I do not.
Sometime after 7 p.m.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. At any point during this night, did you make, or first of all, do you have a friend named Laura Burke?
Yes.
How do you know Laura Burke?
She's been a client of mine for a very long time.
Okay. And do you also see each other socially at times?
Yes.
Did you ever make plans to meet up with Laura Burke that night at Beer Snobs?
Yes. When I had done her hair previously that week, we both mentioned we were going to go, and just said if you do go, let me know.
Okay. And did you ever text with Laura Burke that night?
Yes.
And was that to meet up at this concert?
Yes.
Now, during this time frame that you were with Josh, at Belfry, and then Enters, and then the concert, was Josh drinking that night?
Yes.
Do you know how much he drank throughout the night?
No.
Do you remember what he was drinking?
Beer.
Drinking beer. Were you drinking that night?
Yes.
What were you drinking?
Seltzers.
So like White Claw
Yeah.
or Truly
High
or something
Noon.
like that?
Mhm.
And that's a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many drinks you had that night?
2.
2. What about Brian? Did you see Brian drinking that night?
No.
And while you were at this concert outside at the Beer Snobs, did you take any photos with you and Josh that night?
Yes.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 17. I'm going to just ask that it be shown to the witness right now.
It's in the witness box.
Thank you. And Ms. Davies, do you see Exhibit 17 on your screen?
Yes.
Can you tell us what Exhibit 17 is?
It's the last picture we took together.
And who's in the picture?
Josh and myself.
And in the background of this picture, it looks like you can see the band that was playing outside.
Yes.
So this is a fair and accurate picture of you and Josh on June 17th of 2023.
Yes, yes.
I would move Exhibit 17 into evidence and request to publish.
Any objection?
No.
17 will be received, you can publish.
Now, Josh was wearing a tank top that night.
Excuse me.
Looks like it's like gray, blue, maybe red.
White, yes, white, blue, red.
And does Josh have tattoos?
Yes,
Okay. And on both of his arms?
yes,
Does he have a lot of tattoos on both of his arms?
yes,
Okay. Do you have tattoos on his legs too?
yep, yes.
And you can take the photo down now, Judge.
Thank you.
So while you're outside at this concert, and who were you mainly with at this concert outside?
The 3 of us, Brian and Josh and myself.
Did you ever meet up with Laura Burke that night?
Yes.
And do you know when you did that?
Time-wise, 9 o'clock,
Okay.
maybe?
So were you talking and was Laura with you the entire night?
No.
Did you ever really talk to anybody else other than Laura, Josh, and Brian then?
No.
While outside?
I did not.
And at some point during the night, towards the end of the night, did you go to Tabby's wine bar?
Yes.
Can you tell us how that came about?
Laura texted me that she was there, and I said, I've never been to Tabby's, I don't know where it is. And she said, well, I'll come find you at the concert. And so she came and found me, and I said, well, I would like some wine. And so she took me back to Tabby's.
And
Because we were about to leave the concert area anyways.
okay. And when Laura came out, you saw the wine. Was the concert done outside?
I believe so.
But it was towards the end of the night.
Yes.
So about what time did you see Laura and talk about the wine bar?
I don't know the time.
Okay. So did you then go with Laura to Tabby's wine bar?
Yes.
Who else came with you?
At first it was only her and I, and then Josh and Brian followed.
And do you remember how you got to Tabby's wine bar from the concert at Beer Snobs?
Yes, we walked to the back door.
You didn't go in the front door of Tabby's.
No, At the time, I'd never been there, so no, I didn't realize I was walking in the back door either.
Are you familiar with the downtown Heartland area?
Not really,
Had you been to Tabby's Wine Bar before?
no,
Had you been to Beer Snobs before?
years and years ago,
But you're just generally not exactly familiar with the layout?
no.
Okay. Now, you go into Tabby's Wine Bar. Who walks in first from that back door?
Laura?
Okay. And were you with Laura when you walked in?
Yes,
Were Josh and Brian walking in with you at the same time, or were they?
they were shortly behind.
Shortly behind, okay. So Josh and Brian are walking together, and you and Laura are walking together.
Yes,
Now, when you got into Tabby's Wine Bar, were there a lot of people in there?
no,
Yeah, and this is towards the end of the night?
yes,
Okay. Did Laura see anybody she knew?
yes,
Okay. And where was this person in the wine bar?
towards the front of the,
And did you go and meet with him?
yes,
Okay. Do you remember who that person was?
yes. Kevin introduced himself as the owner.
Okay. So his name was Kevin.
Say yes,
Yes,
thank you.
And tell me about that initial interaction when you first meet Kevin.
we just introduced ourselves, and again, he mentioned that he was the owner. And I said, oh, nice to meet you.
Okay. The owner of Tabby's Wine Bar?
Yes,
And when you were introduced, were Josh and Brian also near you?
no,
No. Okay. How much later did Josh and Brian come in?
a minute,
Minute. Not a long time period,
No.
right? Okay. So was it then you five kind of congregated together towards the front of Tabby's?
yes,
So Josh, Brian, you, Laura, and Kevin.
yes,
Was Kevin bigger than Josh?
yes.
Okay. Could you tell about how much he weighed just by looking at him, or no?
Very large man.
And had you ever met this Kevin before that night?
No.
Do you recall seeing Kevin out when you were by the concert at Beer Snobs?
No,
To your knowledge, did Josh ever meet Kevin before this night?
no,
Were you and Josh together the entire night?
yes.
So, tell me about your initial interaction with Kevin when you're at the front of Tabby's, and it's you five at the front of Tabby's.
I just remember immediately when the boys walked in, him kind of talking very loudly about their tattoos negatively,
Whose tattoos?
Josh's specifically.
Okay, and what do you recall Kevin saying to Josh about the tattoos?
That he ruined the body God gave him and that he was going to go to hell.
Do you recall if Josh responded to that statement?
Well, oh, sorry. Kevin also said, do you know what God says about tattoos? And Josh joked and said, get more.
Okay. And then Kevin responded with,
What I had said previously about going to hell.
okay, and you were marking up God's work.
Yes.
Did Josh say anything back to Kevin after that?
I think I said something to Kevin and well, I have tattoos and you're not talking to me like that.
Okay. Did you show him your tattoos? Yes? Okay. And after that initial interaction, did Kevin say anything else about these tattoos with Josh?
I can't remember.
Okay. What did Josh do in response to Kevin talking about these tattoos?
He walked to the other side of the table to avoid more conflict.
Judge, I'm gonna object, that latter portion is her testifying about somebody else's opinion.
It's her opinion as to what he did, overruled. Next question.
Okay, so then Josh kind of separated himself, is that right?
Yes.
After that happened, after Josh separated himself, tell me what happens next.
I showed Laura my tattoo because I had added a little bit since I had seen her last. Or I didn't show her when I saw her last, but she hadn't seen it. And all of a sudden, then after a minute, we hear more foul language of Kevin screaming over to Josh.
Okay, so do you recall what that foul language was?
Yes?
Okay, so to the best of your recollection, can you tell us what Kevin said to Josh?
I believe he called him a motherfucker and a pussy.
Okay. Did Josh respond?
I can't remember.
Okay. Where was Kevin when he was saying these things to Josh?
At first he was on the other side of the table, and then he proceeded to go around and get in Josh's face.
Okay. Kevin went around.
Kevin went around.
Did Josh move from where he was standing?
No.
Do you recall what Kevin said to Josh when he moved around and was standing right by Josh?
Not specifically.
Okay. Do you recall if it was swear words?
Swear words.
Swear words. You just don't recall the specific quote. Okay. Now, after Kevin did this, went over by Josh and kind of got in his face, did you do anything?
I went over to Josh and just to kind of just make sure that it didn't escalate any farther, and Josh was fine. So
did Josh stay there after Kevin got in his face, or what happened next?
that's when I asked Josh and Brian to just go outside because we were going to leave anyways. So I said, let's just go. We don't need to entertain this.
Why did you ask Josh and Brian to leave?
We were leaving anyways, and I just thought this isn't going to go anywhere good.
Okay. So how do Josh and Brian leave? Which
They go
door
out the
did
front
they?
door. The front door.
I'm sorry, Judge, that was my fault. Which door did they go out of?
The front door.
Okay. Not the door you came in?
No.
And after they leave, did you stay inside the bar?
Yes, I stayed inside yes.
Who was all inside still out of the group of 5 of you?
Laura and Kevin.
Laura, Kevin, and you.
Yes.
Why did you stay inside and not leave with Josh?
I came back after I walked them to the door because I said to him, because I believed he was the owner, that, I don't know why you're talking to my husband like that. I have tattoos and you're not speaking to me that way. And he said, don't take it personal.
Okay.
And
And after that conversation, do you know about how long you were inside when it was just you, Laura, and Kevin?
20 seconds,
Okay.
30 seconds.
Other than that initial conversation, were you 3 talking about anything else?
I don't know how it came up, but I did say that I had known Laura for 20 years.
Okay. Did Kevin ever try to hug you during this time?
I believe he hugged Laura.
With Laura, okay. Did Josh ever come back into the wine bar?
Yes, he came back to ask me to leave.
So, about how long were you in the wine bar before Josh kind of came back in?
30 seconds.
And did he come all the way to where you were?
No, he stayed at the door.
Stayed at the door. Do you recall exactly what he said when he stood at the door?
I believe he said, why are you still talking to that asshole? Let's go. And I said, okay.
Was he saying that to Kevin?
He was talking to me.
Okay. After Josh said that, what happened?
Kevin immediately charged past myself and Laura to run outside.
Did you try to stop Kevin?
He ran past me so fast.
Okay. Do you ever remember being at the door and Kevin pushing you out of the way?
Judge, I object, it's legal.
Sustained.
Do you recall Kevin going past you at all?
Yes,
Do you recall him pushing you at all?
aggressively.
Judge, same objection.
I'm sorry, there was no question. I heard aggressively, which was in response to the previous question.
She asked another question.
Was there another question?
Yes.
I heard, do you recall? And I didn't hear a question.
Well, I forgot my question now, so
The reporter read the last question back, please.
She said, do you remember him pushing you? And she said aggressively.
Overruled. Next question.
And now, you have seen the video from inside Tabby's wine bar, is that true?
Yes.
Judge, I'm gonna now pull up, this has already been admitted into evidence as Exhibit 11. And I'm gonna ask to play this video with Ms. Davies.
Just the witness.
It's already been admitted, so I'd ask that it also be published. The jury has already seen it.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you put on the screens for publication and switch the computer over to the district attorney?
Okay. And I believe that's on the screen for everybody now. Ms. Davies, so do you see on the screen the Tabby's video, Exhibit 11 now?
Yes.
Now, before I start playing it, and you can circle and kind of draw on this touch screen, I'm going to have you identify some of the people here. So can you circle where you are in this video? Okay. Can you circle where Josh is?
So just before you, because you're going to wind up with a bunch of circles.
I could do.
It's not going to be clear given the fact that there are other individuals. Can you ask the witness to use letters?
Mark,
Yes.
I can. Can we clear the screen?
Yep.
Okay, can you mark with a letter J where you are?
Let's try that again. Put a screen, clear the screen. Molly. Thank you. Let's try that again. There you go.
And can you mark with the letter J-O where Josh is? And can you mark with the letter B where Brian is? And can you mark with the letter K where the person you know as Kevin is? Okay. Now, do you see Laura in this frame right now?
No.
Okay. And I would ask that this be preserved as 11A.
We have 11A yet. Any objection?
No.
11A will be preserved and received.
And now I'll ask to clear the screen. And now I'm gonna play this video for you, Ms. Davies, and I'm gonna ask that you watch it. I may stop it at times as well. So. And if you could pause it, and I've paused it at 20 seconds, Your Honor. Ms. Davies, do you see Laura here now?
Yes.
Can you mark with an L where Laura is? Okay. And I would request to preserve this as 11B, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No.
11B will be preserved and received. You want the screen cleared?
Yes, Your Honor. And now I'm continuing Exhibit 11 at 20 seconds.
I'm gonna get more. Hey, right, here, follow that one. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, all right, yeah. That's what I thought. Hey, just remember, less is more. That's what John would say. Fuck you. And the horse. Yeah, that's a fucking. Hey, you wanna go out there? Practice falling down right out there. Oh, okay. There. Come on, motherfucker, let's go. No. Well, then shut your fucking mouth. Steven, dickhead. Trying to be funny. Trying is a key word. Trying. Yes. That was the place that you said. Please, just being a little girl. Little Karen. Like I said, go out there, practice falling down, right out there. Both of you. Yeah, this is in Tom. Kevin is not as nice as Tom is. Kevin doesn't put up with bullshit. Nothing. It's a pussy. Huh?
And neither does he. Maybe you guys are actually really good friends. I've known Johnny forever. 20 years. This guy. 20 years. Yeah, it's a lot. I like John. Maybe you're taking it. Maybe it's the reason.
I'm serving on my.
Maybe she's at it.
Don't take it personally. Hey, you're gonna talk this fucking asshole, Rick? What did you say? Yeah, but this is why I see her.
Now the video ended. Ms. Davies, you were able to watch that, right? That's a fair and accurate depiction of what happened that night, right?
Yes.
So I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things in here. At the end, after you are by that door, did you scream?
After I walked out, it happened so fast, and he just ran out, and when I screamed, it was because he had punched Josh. Because I was standing right next to Josh.
And I'm gonna get to that part, but we also saw towards the end of this video, you come back in. Did you see that?
Yes.
Do you recall what you said or why you came back in?
I came back in and said, the owner just punched my husband.
Okay. And you set your drink down, it looks like. Is that true?
Yes.
Now, I previously asked you if you tried to stop Kevin from going outside. In the video, does that refresh your recollection at all if you tried to stop him?
Yes.
So did you try to stop him?
Yes.
And how did you try to do that?
I tried to get in, stay in front of him and not let him out.
Ms. Davies, how tall are you?
5'2".
I'm not gonna ask how much you weigh, but do you weigh less than
Yes.
275 pounds?
Yes.
I now want to talk about what happened outside. So after we see Kevin go out the door, do you recall where Josh was outside?
Yes, Josh was at the other end towards the pharmacy,
Was he on the sidewalk or the street?
the sidewalk.
And do you recall where Brian was?
Standing next to Josh.
After Kevin goes outside, did you also go outside and observe what happened?
Yes.
So can you tell me, what did you observe happen after Kevin goes outside?
I watched as Kevin charged towards Josh. Josh picked up a stool and chucked it at Kevin to defend himself.
What stool did he pick up?
A stool from Tabby's.
And you said that, and at that time when Josh picked up the stool, what was Kevin doing?
Charging at him.
And when you say charging, can you maybe describe that a little bit more?
Running at him.
And how was Josh holding the stool?
Like this.
So it looks like you held up both of your hands in front of your face. Is that true?
Yes.
Did you see Kevin with the stool above his head?
It was
Sorry.
Josh.
Sorry, Josh. Did you see Josh with the stool above his head?
No.
You saw it kind of in front of his face and
Yes.
torso?
Like this.
Judge,
Okay.
I want to object.
Sorry, I withdraw the question. She,
Bleeding.
I agree.
Question withdrawn. Next question.
Thank you. From when Kevin went outside to Kevin charging at Josh and Josh picking up the stool, how many seconds is that, if you can tell us?
2.
Okay. Then you said that Josh threw the stool at Kevin?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, what happened next?
Kevin ran past the stool and punched Josh.
Did the stool hit Kevin?
I don't believe so.
Did the stool land somewhere on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Now, you said that you observed Kevin punch Josh, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us how Kevin punched Josh?
With his right hand.
Do you remember if it was a fist or an open hand?
A fist.
Where on Josh's body did he did Kevin hit Josh?
in the temple, like it is right here.
Do you know which temple of Josh's? Which side?
His left.
And after you observed Kevin punch Josh, what happened to Josh?
Just fell
Fell to the ground.
to the ground.
Did you see Josh hit his head again?
When he fell,
What did he hit it on?
the cement sidewalk.
When you observed that happen, where were you?
Standing right next to him,
And when you say him, who do you mean?
Josh.
Josh. Did you observe Josh brace his fall at all?
No.
He just fell?
Mhm.
Yes?
After he was hit, yes,
He fell.
yes,
Did you observe Josh trip over a stool?
no,
Did you observe Josh swing at Kevin?
no,
Did you observe Brian with a stool outside?
no,
Did you observe Brian throw any sort of stool at Kevin?
no,
After Kevin punched Josh and Josh fell, where did Kevin go?
he ran past me,
Did he say anything?
yes.
What did Kevin say?
He said, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
When Josh fell to the ground, and did you see Josh on the ground after this?
Yes,
Was he awake?
no,
Was he moving?
no,
Did you see any blood on his head?
no, I don't remember.
Don't know. Okay. I'm now going to bring up Exhibit 15. I'm going to ask to pull up Exhibit 15. It's already been admitted into evidence, so I'd ask to publish it to the jury right away.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to ask you to pause it. Ms. Davies, have you also seen these videos from Hometown Pharmacy?
Yes,
And you've watched this one that's kind of in black and white?
yes,
So I'm going to play this video and stop it so I can have you describe, based on your memory, who we're seeing in this video, okay?
yes.
So it's starting at 00 on Exhibit 15. Okay, stop.
You see Josh backing up.
Okay, so actually, can you play just one more frame? Okay, do you see where Josh is in this video?
Yes,
Can you circle where Josh is? Okay. In this still, do you see where Kevin is?
yes,
Where's Kevin? Can you circle where he is? Okay. I'll ask to preserve this as 15A.
Any objection?
No.
15A will be preserved and received.
And I'm gonna ask that then the screen be cleared. And then if you can continue playing. Okay. Okay. We stopped it at 20 seconds. Do you see Kevin in this video?
Yes.
Can you circle where he is? Do you know where Josh is now?
Yes.
Where's Josh?
On the ground.
And can you see him in this video clearly right now?
No.
Ask that it be preserved as 15B.
Any objection?
No.
15B will be preserved and received.
Ask to clear it and play it from 20 seconds. And I'm gonna play this again now, Miss Davies, because you kind of described some other things, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning and to 0, and we can hit play again. Stop. At this point, what is happening in this video?
I believe Josh threw the stool and continued to walk back away from Kevin.
Was Kevin walking forwards?
Yes.
And we see two people kind of moving across the screen, right?
Yes.
And Josh is the one walking backwards, you just said,
Yes.
and Kevin's the one going forward at him.
Yes.
You want to orient us to the video time?
And this is at 10 seconds on exhibit 15. Okay, can you continue to play? Stop. Did you see something fall in this video?
Judge, I'm going to object to her testifying to what she's seen. If she is recalling regarding what she remembers, that's one thing, but her asking this witness to say, what is it that you're seeing? The jury can see what we can all see.
Well, I can't see much on this version of the video, number one. Number two, this witness can testify about what she observed, experienced, and what occurred. What she can't do is interpret a video, which is a video of absolute something that was modified by the expert as to what is occurring. So the court is going to sustain the objection. If you have questions specifically to this witness about what happened, ask them. Let her testify.
During this video, where were you standing? If you could describe in the picture, in the video.
I was right here. About there.
And I asked that that be preserved as 15C.
You want to describe what she marked?
Well, can you describe what?
No. She's drawn a circle. You didn't ask her to draw a circle. I'll preserve it. It'll have a circle on it for your record. This is not my record. This is your record and your record. So be more precise when you're using these videos in terms of timing and what you're asking to have manipulated. Otherwise, if there's ever an appeal, the Court of Appeals is just going to get a transcript that says, preserve the record. And they're going to get an exhibit that has a circle on it, and they have no idea because you haven't asked the witness to describe it. So I'm done with stage assistance here. You go ahead and make your record.
At 16 seconds, what did you just circle on the screen for us?
I circled where I was, outside.
And would you say that you circled in the middle of the screen?
Yes.
I would ask that 15C be preserved.
Any objection?
No.
15C will be preserved and received.
We can take that down. After Kevin walked away, did he walk by you?
Yes.
And how did he walk by you?
Very close.
Very close. Did he push you in any way?
No.
He didn't touch you?
I don't remember.
After Joshua was hit, what happened next?
Kevin ran past me and then I fell to the floor by Josh to be by him.
Okay. And you also went back into Tabby's wine bar, we saw?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
To go get help.
So you went back in to get help. What did you ask? How did you do that?
I said, the owner just punched my husband and I believe, well, the bartender was there and then I walked back out.
Okay. And once you walked back out, how did police eventually arrive?
They were already there.
They were already there, okay? And was Josh still on the sidewalk?
Yes.
After the police got there, did you tell the officer what happened?
Yes, I proceeded to say that the owner punched my husband.
And did the ambulance also arrive?
Yes.
And while Josh is on the ground and before the ambulance gets there, was Josh awake?
No.
Was Josh talking to you?
No.
Were you trying to talk to Josh?
Yes.
And the ambulance took Josh away, right?
Yes.
What hospital did you go to?
Aurora Summit?
Did you ride in the ambulance with Josh?
Yes.
Can you tell us how long Josh was in the hospital after this happened?
Over a month.
Did he have any surgeries during that time frame?
Yes.
Do you know how many surgeries he had?
He had 3.
While in the hospital for that little over a month, did Josh wake up?
He became alert,
Okay.
but not for weeks.
Were you able to talk to Josh again?
Very little.
Okay. Was he ever able to tell you or police what happened that night?
No.
Did Josh recover from his injuries?
No.
Now, at the hospital when you initially arrived, were you asked to give a written statement?
Yes.
Tell me, you were at the hospital, about how long after did this incident occur were you making this written statement?
I don't remember.
Do you remember what your state of mind was when you were making the statement, the written statement?
I was very upset and shaking.
Were you focused in the written statement on the details of exactly what happened?
Objection. Leave.
Sustain. Next question.
I have no further questions.
Cross.
Ma'am, I'm sorry about your husband's death.
Thank you.
You and your husband went, and in some of the time with Brian, to 3 different places, I think. Belfries, is that one of them?
Yes, just
Is that
Josh
a
and I.
bar or a restaurant?
A restaurant.
Okay. And again, I apologize. Do you think you got there about what time?
4.
Before? Okay. And was your husband drinking then, ma'am?
I don't remember.
Okay. And then you went about, it would appear, about 3 hours later to Enders, I believe you called it.
Yes.
And, ma'am, do you not have any recollection whether in that 3 hours when you and your husband were at Belfry's, whether he was drinking? And I mean alcohol, not Coke.
Yes. He had yes, before we left.
Okay. You say before you left Belfry's.
Before we left to go to Enters.
Okay. So in those 3 hours, do you have any sense of how many beers he had?
No.
Did he have any hard liquor also?
No.
Do you know that he had at least one
One.
beer?
Yes.
Okay. And you think, and were you eating there?
At Enters or Belfry?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. And if I'm not being clear, correct me. At Belfry's,
We
your
ate.
recollections, they had a single beer or possibly more?
I don't remember if he drank at Belfry. I just know that we ate because I was hungry after work.
Okay. So then, while you were eating at Belfry's, you then went to Enders at about 7, as I understand.
Yes.
And did he drink at Enders?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how long you were at Enders before you left there?
No.
I mean, was it more than an hour, more than 2 hours?
Probably an hour. We ate.
I'm sorry?
We had dinner. So
Okay. Did you not eat at Belfry's?
we did.
Okay. Did you have dinner there?
We just snacked.
Okay.
At Belfry's at that time, they just had their snack menu.
Okay. And then at Enders, you had, the 2 of you or the 3 of you had dinner, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. Did your husband drink at Enders?
Yes.
Do you know how much?
No.
Could it have been several?
I don't think we were there that long.
Okay. So when you left Enders, you aren't able to give the jury any sense of how many beers your husband had had from the time you entered Belfry's and the time you left Enders?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. And you had been drinking, but not very much, I understand,
Yes.
correct? Did you have anything to drink at Belfry's?
No.
Did you have something to drink at Enders?
Yes.
What did you drink, ma'am?
I had a glass of wine.
Glass of wine?
Yes.
Okay. And then, when you left Enders at about what time, do you think?
I don't remember.
Okay. You then went to the concert, is that right?
Yes.
And this was outside, as I understand it.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
And were they serving beer, wine, alcohol at the concert? And you're gonna have to, and I understand this is difficult, I do, but I also don't have as great a hearing as I would like. So if you could just, please, a little bit, speak up. And maybe just if you move towards the mic, it would help. Thank you, appreciate that. So how did one get beer or wine or liquor at the concert?
They had booths set up
Okay? And,
with beer
go ahead.
and seltzers, I believe.
Those hard seltzers?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how many beers that your husband had at the concert?
No.
Did you recall seeing him going to get beer or seltzer or whatever?
Yes.
Do you have any sense of how many times he did that?
No.
Okay. Did you have something to drink while at the concert?
Yes.
Another wine or something different?
I had 2 seltzers.
Oh, 2 seltzers?
Yes.
Okay. And then you stayed there about how long before you went to some other place?
A few hours,
You said 2 hours?
about.
Okay. So, you think you went to Tabby's next?
Yes,
Okay. And as I understand it, you were there, among other things, was to meet Laura, correct?
can you repeat the question?
Sure. You went to Tabby's, among other reasons, to see Laura, correct?
That was the only reason.
That was the only reason, okay. And you had gotten some text saying that either that she was there or meet me there or something to that effect. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. All right. So, and it was first you went in alone, is that right?
with Laura.
With Laura. So did you meet her outside the bar?
She came and got me because I didn't know where Tabby's was.
Right. And then the two of you walked to Tabby's.
Yes,
You entered through the back door, I understand.
yes.
Sorry. And then, I don't recall, did you get anything to drink when you were at Tabby's?
No,
Do you know if your husband did when he arrived?
no, he did not.
Okay. And as I understand, you were with your husband the whole night, is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And then at some point, there was this dispute, argument about tattoos, is that right?
yes,
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you may have heard your husband say something to Mr. Sehmer that he must be a good Catholic boy or something like that?
no.
No, you didn't recall that, or it wasn't said?
I don't believe it was said, or I didn't hear it.
Okay. And then, did you hear Mr. Sehmer say something to the effect that he's Lutheran?
No,
You didn't hear that, or he didn't say it?
I don't remember.
Okay. And then at some point, your husband, I'm sorry, moves around kind of behind you and moves off to your right and to Mr. Sehmer's left. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. And in the earlier conversations, your husband was to your left and kind of moved towards where Mr. Sehmer was standing. Is that correct?
he moved to my right because I was facing Kevin. Kevin was in front of me.
Right. And
So Josh moved to this side.
to your right.
Yes,
But I mean, before that, before he moved around you, he would have been to your left. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. And they were having some discussion and your husband was showing him some tattoos. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. And then your husband moved around to your right, to that
yes,
little table right there. And he being your husband, was doing some shaking with his hand thing.
he was pulling out his chew.
Oh.
His chew,
No, I know what chew is.
Oh.
So what was he doing with the chew, with the,
shaking it.
okay.
I guess he always did that. I don't chew, so I don't know what that does to it, but
Okay, all right. So then, you kind of talked your husband into him and his friend leaving, is that right?
yes,
And you kind of let him out a little bit, is that right?
yes,
Okay. And then you came back in and you were now kind of standing next to Laura Burke, is that right?
yes,
Okay. And then the three of you were having a discussion with Mr. Sehmer, is that right?
yes.
And that seemed friendly, was it not at that point?
No, it was not friendly.
Okay.
I mean, I was very upset for him talking to my husband that way.
Sure.
And that's what I was saying to him. I said, that was my husband. I can't believe you talked to him like that.
Why did you keep talking to my client?
I was under the impression that he was the owner, and since I had never been to that establishment, I just wanted to, I don't know, I mean, I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. You don't know. And Laura was talking to him?
Yes,
Okay. And at some point, the two of you, that is you and Laura, were kind of standing next to each other, and Mr. Sehmer kind of goes around and seems to kind of hug Laura while you guys are standing next to each
Yes.
other? Okay. And that seemed friendly, did it not?
I don't know.
Well, it wasn't hostile.
I guess,
Am I right?
I don't remember. Like what? I don't remember the. I mean, yeah, because a hug isn't hostile.
Okay. And then at some point, your husband came back and we saw him kind of open what would be the front door, and he yelled something about using that A word. And you heard that, correct?
Yes,
And obviously Mr. Sehmer heard it, correct?
yes,
I mean, it wasn't spoken softly, he was kind of yelling it, wasn't he?
it was loud.
Okay, so I'm right? He
The
was
bar
yelling?
was loud, yes.
Okay. And then Mr. Sehmer said something and yelled something like, "What did you say?" And then
Yes,
quickly left the
yes,
Tabbies.
yes,
And you were in front of him,
yes,
and I think Laura may have been behind him a bit. Is that
Yes.
right?
yes.
Okay. And then you went outside, and when you got outside, as when you left, your husband was where?
By the pharmacy, on the
Okay.
sidewalk.
So he was further, I think that's west, further west of where you and now Mr. Sehmer were, correct?
Yes,
So if I'm seeing these videos, and I'm thinking more about the ones where we can see it, the enhanced color ones, your husband, if he was by the pharmacy, must have moved towards Mr. Sehmer. Is that right?
no,
No? Okay. So, but Mr. Sehmer is moving towards your husband?
yes,
Now, I'm going to, I'm sorry, you then, you say you were on the sidewalk?
yes.
Where relative to your husband?
Next to him,
So you got ahead of Mr. Sehmer.
it happened in 3 seconds. I was right behind Mr. Sehmer, so yes, I was right next to Josh.
Well, I'm trying to understand. You are behind Mr. Sehmer now, not in front of him. Is that right?
Yes,
And your husband is in front of Mr. Sehmer, correct?
yes,
So you were behind Mr. Sehmer and not really next to your husband, correct?
I would say I caught up. I mean, I was standing right next to Josh. It's just 3 seconds.
Ma'am, there are, I think, at least 2 tables and a number of stools that are right in front of Tabby's, are there not?
I don't know. I'd never been to Tabby's before.
Well, I understand. Did you like run through tables and chairs to get next to your husband?
I ran past them.
On the outside, towards the road?
Yes. The tables are along the building.
Right. So, but when you circled yourself in that one darker video, you had yourself like next to the wall almost, apparently. Is that true?
I don't know what I was standing by.
Okay, so when you circled where you thought you were in that darker video, you don't really know if that was accurate, do you?
I was right next to Josh when he was punched. So wherever that was, is where I was.
I understand that. So you said because I was next to him, I'm just gonna put myself in a circle against the wall of the pharmacy? Or, is that right?
Yes,
So you then scooted around Mr. Sehmer, somehow got apparently behind your husband and then to the side of him?
I was never behind my husband. I was behind Kevin, and then I was right next to Josh.
How did you get there to be next to Josh?
I walked. I mean,
Okay, I thought you indicated earlier, ma'am, and I'm sorry, I thought you indicated that my client was like running.
we were running. I
You weren't
ran.
walking, you were running too.
Yes,
And that's how you got wherever you got.
yes.
And was your husband walking or running or standing?
He was walking backwards.
Okay, well, at some point in the video, he's moving forward, you agree?
Yes,
Towards Mr. Sehmer.
yes. That's when he had the stool.
Right. And then after he moved towards Mr. Sehmer with the stool in by his face, being Josh's face, is when he lunges at Mr. Sehmer, is that right?
He chucked the stool and continued to walk backwards away.
Well, but in the video, when he's lunging forward, he's not moving backwards, he's moving
I'm gonna
forward.
object as to the characterization of the lunging in the video.
Well, this is cross. You can ask the questions. The question is really about the position of the witness. It has some redundancy to it,
Thank you.
but the court's going to overrule the objection. I don't know if there was an answer. Was there an answer to that question, Madam Reporter?
No.
Could you read the question back, please?
In the video, he's not moving forwards, or he's not moving backwards, he's lunging forward.
Is that accurate, ma'am?
Uh,
Pardon me?
yes,
Okay. Now, I understand that obviously your husband was injured and had to go to the hospital, is that right?
yes,
And you were obviously very concerned because according to your testimony, you believed that you had seen my client strike your husband, is that right?
yes,
And according to your testimony, you saw my client strike your husband, is that right?
yes,
And that's why, according to you, as a witness, you believed he had fallen down, is that right?
yes,
Did you say yes, ma'am?
yes.
Answered yes.
Okay, thank you. It's me, ma'am, it's not you. Now, you gave a statement to law enforcement in writing, correct?
Yes,
And this was while you were at the hospital waiting for your husband to be taken care of and et cetera, correct?
yes,
And my guess is that part of that time you would be waiting as medical personnel are doing things medical personnel need to do, is that right?
yes,
And you're not, whenever they were doing x-rays or whatever they were doing to your husband, you're not gonna be with him at that point because they're taking care of it, is that right?
yes.
So, I need to, what number are we on? 18?
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Are you able to do it?
I
Marking it as 30. Okay, thank you.
Judge, we are going to be asking the assistance of your clerk regarding the Elmo, which is, I think, set up and ready to go.
You're gonna have the witness identify an exhibit?
Yes,
You're gonna have the witness identify an exhibit before it's published to the jury?
I will.
The Elmo is tied to the jury box, Madam Clerk? Thank you.
May I approach?
Just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. And you return to the jury room. Please do not discuss this case. I'll have you back here in a few minutes.
All rise.
Please be seated. It's 9:53. All parties should be back prepared to go at 10:10. Can I see counsel, please?
Yes, of course.
Ma'am, you can step down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it working yesterday. I don't know. It will.
Good sense by your taking technology. I don't like it. I don't like it when it delays procedure. Things are this thing. So that we can get through this. See the witness after this witness.
Lined up, Judge.
How many do you have on the dais? How many do you have in the lobby?
Probably, there's 2 or 3 probably in the hallway right now, yes.
Okay. So let it take us into lunch.
Oh, yeah. We're still on schedule.
We'll just recall it. We're just breaking.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, we'll go back on the record. State of Wisconsin versus Kevin Sehmer. All parties are present. Jury is not present. Witnesses still on the witness stand. I've asked the civilian bailiff to get the jurors lined up. Mr. Shiro, have we solved the technology issue?
We did, Judge, we moved it.
Perfect. So we're all set to go?
We are, sir, thank you.
All right.
I have to show her anyway.
We are.
All right.
We'll reschedule on tomorrow's calendar tomorrow morning. Yeah. Should only be able to tell you about the witness policy. All right, please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. We're continuing with cross-examination. Mr. Shiro?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, I'm going to be showing you an exhibit in a moment, but if I may, I'd like to just follow up on a question I'd asked you earlier. So you indicated that you had started in front of Mr. Sehmer and then somehow, or you were behind him, and then you got in front of him by going out towards the road, I gather. Is that correct?
I never got in front of Mr. Sehmer. I just caught up to him when he stopped to punch Josh.
I'm sorry?
I never caught up. I caught up to him. I never got in front of him.
Okay. I thought, and maybe I'm wrong, I thought you indicated that you were standing next to your husband when he was struck.
I was.
And I thought you indicated to the jury that you were towards the buildings, that is Tabby's and
That's where we were standing. Tabby's
and the pharmacy, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And initially, your husband was moving backwards, and then you somehow got around him to be on his right side?
When he was struck, he was to my left, and Kevin was in front of me.
Right. You were on his right side.
His?
Mr., your husband, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. And then you had indicated in that one, I call it the dark video, that you had put yourself, you drew a circle around yourself, is that right?
About the vicinity of where I was standing.
Yeah. And I thought, I thought Mr. Armstrong indicated that using that video, you would see movement. That's how it registers things. And did you see yourself moving in that video?
I don't remember.
Okay. So, but, so you were right next to your husband when he was struck, is that right?
Objection, asked and answered.
Sustained.
Okay. When your husband was struck. Did you catch him?
No,
Were you able to touch him at all as he fell?
no. It happened so fast.
Well, I understand, but you were standing next to him when it happened fast, and in the videos, it appears that he's moving to his right, isn't he?
Objection vague. Who is he?
Sustained.
Your husband was moving right in the videos. Isn't that true?
After he was struck?
Yes.
Yes,
And you were right there, correct?
yes,
He would have kind of bumped into you or landed on you almost. Isn't that true?
Objection vague. Asked and answered.
Argumentative, sustained.
Do you agree that had you been standing right next to him when he started moving to the right, you would have been able to catch him? Isn't that
it
true?
was so unexpected. No one would have expected a man to punch your husband. I wasn't prepared.
But you were, according to your testimony, watching Mr.
Yes.
Sehmer, right?
Yes, and he ran past me after.
I understand that. But when he struck your husband, you were looking at him. Is that right?
Yes,
Him being Mr. Sehmer.
yes.
Okay. Now I'm gonna show you something, okay? And then we're gonna put it on this Elmo, okay? But I will put it on the Elmo visible to everybody when the judge
Counsel,
tells
just
me I
proceed.
can.
Just either approach the witness or do what you're gonna do.
Okay.
The technology is on in the witness box.
Ma'am, I'm showing you what is marked by as Exhibit 101. Do you recognize that document?
Yes,
And can you tell the jury what that document is?
it was my statement.
Okay. It's a written statement, is that correct?
Yes,
And Judge, may I publish this while I ask questions of the witness?
You're asking for it to be admitted?
Yes.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Is it 101?
101, Judge.
101 will be received and you may publish.
All right, thank you. All right.
We are upside down.
It's upside down. And it may need to go. All right, ma'am, that is the written statement you wrote at the hospital, is that right?
yes,
Okay. Now, you indicate in there that the man you knew as Kevin ran, then screaming at my husband about tattoos, is that right?
yes,
And you said, my husband defended himself and picked up a chair or stool to defend himself from the crazy person who went after him. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. Now, and then you finish by hearing Mr. Sehmer say, I'm effing out of here. Is that right?
yes.
Okay. Now, what you didn't say in that statement is that Mr. Sehmer punched your husband. Isn't that true?
Yes,
You didn't, ma'am, in that statement say that your husband threw a stool at him, correct?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yes, ma'am. You didn't in your statement say that your husband threw a stool at him, correct?
I said he picked up a chair or stool to defend himself.
I understand, but you don't say that he, being your husband, threw the stool at my client.
No. I was very rattled.
Ma'am, I am certain you were rattled.
Let's get a question.
But you also were asked to provide a statement while you were in the hospital, rattled, to explain what you saw that evening. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And since, according to your testimony, your husband hit his head on the cement as a result of being punched, can you explain to this jury why you didn't think that fact was something that you thought necessary to put into your statement?
To be honest, I had no idea it was this serious. I had never written a statement before. I didn't realize that I had to be that specific. I could barely write. I was shaking. So I didn't know it was ever going to be needed. I didn't know this was going to happen.
Well, you knew your husband was in the hospital with
I had no idea the injuries.
Let me just finish, if I may, ma'am. You did realize that your husband was seriously injured, correct?
Honestly, no. I didn't know at the time that I thought he just got punched and he would just wake up.
Well, except that you weren't able to wake him up. Isn't that true, ma'am?
No.
No, it isn't true?
No, I was not able to wake him up.
And he never was able to communicate, correct?
Correct.
You had good reason to believe that whatever injury he had was serious. Isn't that true?
I wish I would have. I didn't know. I honestly didn't know that it was going to be this bad.
Okay.
I thought he was going to wake up and we were going to go home.
Well, I understand, but you weren't asked to talk about his health care. You were asked to talk about what happened. Isn't that true?
In the statement?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you also didn't say that he defended himself apparently by what? Throwing the stool at him?
Yes.
Him being Mr. Sehmer?
Josh threw a stool.
Okay. And where was Mr. Sehmer relative to your husband when that happened?
Running at him.
How far away?
On the
was he?
sidewalk. Just a few feet.
Okay. And were you next to your husband when he threw the stool?
I was kind of in the middle of him. Or no, I was behind Mr. Sehmer.
Okay. You were behind Mr. Sehmer? Or Sehmer when your husband threw the stool?
I don't remember.
Okay. And do you have any sense of how far away Mr. Sehmer was from your husband when he threw the stool?
Just a few feet.
Where did it hit him, if it hit him at all?
It didn't hit him.
Where did it go?
To the side.
Okay. Did it end up laying next to your husband after he fell down?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. All right. You went into Tabby's after he had fallen to the cement, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you weren't, strike that, after your husband went to the ground, how long was it before you went back in? Any sense?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Seconds?
Okay. And when you went back in, Mr. Sehmer wasn't there, is that right?
No, he was not there.
Okay. And you had indicated, did you believe that throwing the stool at Mr. Sehmer was the defense?
Objection.
of what it was that Mr. Sehmer was doing?
He was trying to keep, my husband was trying to keep him away.
Well, he could have kept going the other direction, could he?
Like ran away?
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
But he could have done that.
I don't know if that would have been the solution. I don't think Kevin would have allowed him to run away.
Does your husband, is he not fleet of foot or something, that he couldn't move away from this larger, heavier guy?
Yes, he can run.
Okay. But instead he did something different, right?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes,
And what he did was to actually move towards Mr. Sehmer. Isn't that true?
when he threw the stool.
Or when he held the stool, correct?
Held the stool.
All right. I have nothing further, thank you.
Redirect.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Amy, you can step down.
Thank you.
You take the exhibit down, please.
Yeah.
They have an additional witness.
Ms. Davies can be released from her subpoena.
Yes. No objection?
No.
Okay.
Yes, state calls Laura Burke.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Ms. Burke, would you come forward, please? You'd come to the witness stand, which is behind the court reporter. Ms. Burke, you just step up on that rise and raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Okay, have a seat. Get comfortable. There's a black bar with a red light. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's the microphone.
Okay.
I need you to pull your chair up close and to speak with your voice elevated so we can hear you, all right?
Yes.
This is your witness.
Thank you, Judge. First of all, Ms. Burke, can you state your full name for the record?
Laura Bell Burke,
How do you spell your last name?
B-U-R-K-E.
And can you tell us, where do you live?
I live in Heartland,
How long have you lived in Heartland?
going into my third year.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm in real estate development.
And do you know Jen Davies?
Yes.
How do you know Jen Davies?
We've been friends close to 20 years when she started doing my hair when I first moved to the area.
So she was your hairdresser.
Yes.
And is she still your hairdresser?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know who Jen is married to?
Yes.
Who was she married to?
Josh Davies.
And how long have you known Josh?
I guess probably about 8 years ago when I met Josh for the first time.
And I want to direct your attention to Saturday, June 17th, 2023. Do you recall this night?
Yes.
And first of all, did you go out to the bars or a concert in Heartland that night?
Yes.
And tell me, where did you go?
I started at Beer Snobs.
Okay.
And then later went to Tabby's.
What was going on at Beer Snobs or in downtown Heartland that night?
It was a concert that Beer Snobs was hosting, and it was an outdoor concert in the street area. And so it was a fun kind of festival.
And did you make plans to meet with anybody that night?
Yes.
And who did you make plans to meet with that night?
Jen.
Do you know if Jen was coming with anybody?
I knew that her and Josh were coming together.
So you had plans to meet with them at the concert?
Yes.
Now, do you recall about what time you got to the concert at Beer Snobs?
It was probably around 7:30, I'm guessing.
Was it light out or dark out?
It was still light out.
And when you got there around that time, did you see Jen and Josh right away?
No, I did not.
Did you see other people you knew?
It was crowded, and I did not see anyone that I knew.
So what did you do?
I was looking for my friends.
And while looking for them, did you talk with anybody else?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you talk to that night?
I ran into Kevin Sehmer and his friends.
Okay, first of all, the person that you know as Kevin Sehmer, do you see him in court today?
Yes.
And can you tell me where he's seated, generally what he's wearing?
The far left gentleman in the suit and tie.
Does he have glasses on or no glasses?
Glasses.
I would ask that the record reflect identification of the defendant, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, sir, thank you.
Identifications established. Next question, please.
Have you, prior to this night on June 17, 2023, ever met Kevin Sehmer?
No.
And I think you said this, but was Kevin Sehmer with anybody?
He was with two friends, as I recall.
Do you remember either of those friends' names?
One friend was Tom, and I don't remember the other person's name.
Okay, so tell me about your conversation with Kevin during this first time that you meet him.
It was crowded, and Kevin and his friends were standing in a little tree well area right outside on the Beer Snobs patio. So I was looking for my friends, and we just started chatting. It was just like an easy approach. You know, I'm looking for my friends, and we stood and talked for a few minutes.
Okay, and what did you talk about?
We were talking about, you know, I think through the conversation, he lived in Brookfield, and we were chatting, like, who do you know kind of thing. It's a small community, so we were visiting about that. It came up that I was single, and his friend Tom that was with him was just divorcing, and so that became the topic of conversation, whether he and I should meet.
And when you say whether he and I should meet, who is he?
Tom, whether Tom and I should meet.
And was Kevin trying to facilitate that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you talk with Tom that night?
Yes, he was in that conversation too. There were just other conversations going on at the same time. So Kevin and I were, you know, it was kind of loud, so we were talking more closely. So even though Tom's presence was right there, he wasn't necessarily a part of this conversation.
During this night, did you ever give your phone number to Kevin or Tom?
No. Kevin gave me his phone number.
Sorry, I apologize. Can you tell me about that?
After we had been talking for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and I was still looking for my friends, so I was moving on, and he said, let's keep in touch. I would really like for you to meet Tom. He's a great guy. I forgot my phone at home. I don't have my phone with me. Here, take my number. And I pulled up my contacts, and he put his phone number in my phone.
When you say he put his
Kevin.
phone... And I know this is a little weird, but so nobody gets yelled at. Wait for my question fully.
Thank you. Okay.
And then answer. Okay. So when you say he put his number in my phone, who is he?
Kevin.
After you have this initial conversation with Kevin and Tom, did you eventually see Jen and Josh?
Yes, I later would find them.
Okay. And so were you with Jen and Josh the entire night?
Because it was such a large venue, it wasn't the entire night, but we would be together, and then we'd see other people, and then we'd kind of reconvene again. And I had another friend that was there with a few people also, so I was kind of going back and forth between groups of friends that I knew.
And were you drinking anything that night?
Not at that point.
And let's break that down a little. So when you're outside at Beer Snobs, did you drink anything?
No.
And when I say drink, you didn't drink any alcohol?
No.
And when you met up with Jen and Josh eventually during this night, was that outside?
Yes.
And were Jen and Josh with anybody else?
I don't know who they were with. It was, a big crowded area, so different friends were saying hello. I don't know who was like with them necessarily, but there were a lot of people around that were friends. So there was visiting going on. I don't know who was all together.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, I did know that Josh had a friend with him that they had come together, from what I understood.
Okay. During this night, did you ever see Kevin Sehmer drinking?
Yes.
What do you recall, first of all, what type of alcohol do you recall him drinking?
When I first ran into Kevin and met him, it was kind of a joke that he had a girly drink that was a pink, kind of a sea breeze, vodka and cranberry. So I think I teased him about that a little bit, a girly drink.
Okay. Do you recall about how much Kevin was drinking that night?
I wasn't with him entirely, but every time I saw him that night, he had a drink in his hand.
So, at least one drink you know of?
Yes.
At some point, do you decide to go to Tabby's Wine Bar?
Yes.
Okay. And is this in the same general vicinity as Beer Snobs?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the Heartland area, right?
Yes.
So, when do you go to Tabby's Wine, or when do you decide to do this?
I think it was a little before 10. So the drink choices at the festival were seltzer drinks and things beer, and I wasn't drinking that. So I think it was around 10. I walked over to Tabby's by myself and got a glass of wine.
And did you stay at Tabby's?
For a few minutes.
Okay. And after you were there and you got your glass of wine, what did you do?
They allow in Heartland that you can carry your drink from a bar when there's a festival going on. So it was in a plastic container, and I walked back out the door and rejoined my friends Jen and Josh.
And when you rejoined your friends Jen and Josh, what happened next?
Jen said, "Where did you get that wine?" And I said, "Over at Tabby's," because she was aware they weren't serving wine at the festival either. And she said, "Oh, that looks good." And I said, "Well, come on, let's go get one." So we walked back over to Tabby's.
And who all walked over to Tabby's?
Jen and I walked together first, and we were visiting and talking, and Josh and his friend were a few feet behind us.
And how did you go in the front door of Tabby's?
The back door.
And once you walked into Tabby's now the second time, did you see anybody in the bar that you knew?
Yeah, I saw Kevin.
Okay. And where was Kevin?
He was towards what I describe as towards the front of the bar. There's some round tables towards the front area, and he was standing there by himself.
And did you go over by Kevin?
Yeah, I think we waved coming in the back door, and hey, and that type of thing.
Okay. And who else went over by Kevin?
Well, Jen and I were together, and I think Josh and his friend were just sort of following us.
So did you all five of you come together in the same general
Yes.
area at
Yes.
Tabby's?
Yes.
And what was the initial interaction with Kevin and you, Jen, Josh, and Brian?
I think I did some just introductions, because Kevin knew from earlier that evening when I first met him that I was looking for my friends, and I had actually described my friends, like, have you seen my friends, and described their appearance. So I said, oh, here they are. This is my friends that I was telling you about earlier in the night.
Okay. So everybody introduced themselves then? That's a yes?
Yes.
And what happened next?
Jen and I were talking, and it seemed very quickly on that the guys were kind of standing all together, and Jen and I were nearby, and I just started hearing kind of some bad language and name calling, and some talk about tattoos, and it it caught our attention.
Who was saying the bad language?
Kevin.
Did you hear Josh or Brian say any bad language during this initial interaction?
I did not.
And you mentioned you heard something about tattoos. Who said that?
I really don't know. I really didn't follow the voice of who said. We just heard something about tattoos, and the tone was aggravated.
And so whose tone was aggravated?
I don't know that I identified the voice at that time. I just remember how I reacted to it.
How did you react?
I tried to kind of calm down the atmosphere, and and so I knew that Jen had a tattoo, and I said, "Here, let me see your tattoo." I was trying to just change the direction of what I was hearing in the background of this aggravated tone.
Do you recall what Kevin's demeanor was like during this?
He came across just kind of hostile, which was surprising because he had been friendly earlier in the evening, but that had been several hours earlier.
Would you say he was friendly with you?
Earlier, yes.
Okay. Do you know who he was directing this hostile attitude towards?
Well, he was Josh and Josh's friend were standing near him, so that's who the conversation was amongst.
Okay. Now, did you guys continue, the five of you continued to talk?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, after this initial interaction, what happens next?
I became uncomfortable with the tone, and I felt like Kevin needed to go back to his friends that were just back at the festival, but which in my mind at the time was, well, his friends are right outside the back door of Tabby's. I felt like I could move Kevin in that direction to get him out the back door to kind of get him moving along.
Do you recall any other conversation between Kevin and Josh, Brian, Jen, and you prior to you kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to have Kevin go back by his friends?
I think there was some chit-chat, small talk. Again, just trying to diffuse the situation that, what I heard, the voices, it was, the word that caught my attention was Kevin was calling, I guess, I didn't know who it was directed to, but he was talking to Josh and his friend, and he used the pussy word, which I thought was very aggressive with people you don't know. So I was like, oh, where's this coming from? So I was just I wanted to diffuse the situation.
And so you talked about how you kind of wanted to get Kevin back towards his friends. So how were you doing that?
He had a drink that was sitting on the table, and I kept picking up his drink and kind of like pulling him towards where the back door would have been to kind of like get him to come with me. And I'm sure my words followed that same, line of thought.
The drink, was that an alcoholic drink to your knowledge?
It looked like the other drinks he had been drinking that night, like a sea breeze. It was a pink drink in a big glass.
And as you tried to walk Kevin away, where were Jen, Josh, and then Josh's friend?
Still in the area where we were standing, where we had been standing in sort of that front portion of Tabby's by the circle tables.
Okay. During this time, did you see Josh did you ever observe Josh go back and try to get in Kevin's face during this time?
No.
Did you ever see Kevin, while you're in Tabby's, get in Josh's face?
I don't think it was something that I noticed at the time, but I since have seen it on the video.
And you say you're kind of asking Kevin to go back towards his friends. Did he do that?
I don't think I asked him to. I was just trying to get him there. That's in my mind. I was like, he needs to join his friends. I kind of went into my mother mode and was trying to diffuse the situation and remove him from the friends that I was there with.
And I apologize.
Okay.
Did he ever do that? Go back by his friends at this point?
No.
So what happens after that?
I just tried several times to do that, and then I think it was all still brewing, like this hostile attitude, and I know Jen and I kept looking at each other like, what in the world is happening? It was just this explosion that happened, and we were like, where did this come from? It was very unusual behavior for, what I've ever encountered. And
let me stop you. When you say this hostile behavior, who are you talking about?
Kevin had this very aggressive, hostile attitude that was unprovoked in my view of what was happening.
So you and Jen are kind of looking at each other. Do Josh and Brian ever leave?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
They walked out the front door, and I think it was like, like where we were going to go next, like were they going to go home? It was just kind of that. Okay, we were going to continue the evening, and they went out the front door, and I was trying to get Kevin out the back door.
And after Josh and Brian left, who was still in the bar together?
Jen and I were standing there, and Kevin was there in that area too, right where we were standing.
So what happened with you three in the bar at this point?
From what I recall, Jen and I were just in, like, what just happened? We were looking at each other like, oh my goodness. And then she was going to go with Josh and his friend, and I was going to get Kevin over to rejoin his friends out the back door. So like going in two separate directions. And then I felt in my mind that was diffusing this situation that was brewing.
But for a time period where you, Jen, and Kevin standing in the bar together talking?
Yes, but it was really Jen and I, and he was there too. So it wasn't just general chit chat.
Okay, let's stop. Let's get a question and an answer. We're going on with narrative here. It's elongated. It's redundant. Let's move.
So, do you recall Josh or Brian ever coming back into Tabby's?
Yes.
How did that happen?
I just saw Josh stick his head in the door, and it was like a, come on, Jen. Like they had been waiting for Jen outside the door, and we were seemingly unaware because we hadn't really communicated that.
And did Kevin react to that at all?
Yes.
What happened?
He lunged to the door.
Did you do anything to try to stop Kevin?
I grabbed his shirt tail.
Did that do anything?
No.
Okay. And did Kevin go outside then?
Yes.
Now going to bring up exhibit. Have you seen the Tabby's Wine Bar video from inside?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up now Exhibit 16 just on your screen.
In the witness box.
Okay. And now do you see a video on your screen, Exhibit 16?
Yes.
Is this inside Tabby's Wine Bar?
Yes.
Do you recognize that being Tabby's?
Yes.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate picture of how it looked
Yes.
on June? Remember, just wait for my question to come out. Is that a fair and accurate picture of how it looked on June 17th of 2023.
Yes.
I would move exhibit 16 into evidence and request to publish.
Any objection?
No.
16 will be received, you may publish.
Okay, and we are starting exhibit 16 at 00. I apologize, it's paused at 20 seconds. And we're starting exhibit 16 at 20 seconds again.
I'm looking for something.
what to say about that too.
It stopped now, exhibit 16, it was 5 minutes and 2 seconds. That was a fair and accurate depiction of the initial events
Yes.
that night in Tabby's. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to pull up exhibit 11, which has already been admitted, so I would ask that it be published to the jury.
All right, proceed.
And just pause. I'm starting exhibit 11 at the beginning 00.
I never had a chance.
I'm Dudley. I was
I'm not kidding you either.
Me either.
I'm gonna get more. Hey, right, here, hold that one. Is that good enough? Is that good, right? Yeah. Hey, just remember, less is more. That's what John would say.
There's a whole dance part.
I wouldn't give that guy any credit.
Fuck you. And the horses.
Yeah, that's a fucking.
Hey, you wanna go out there? Practice falling down. I'll be right out there.
All day. There.
Come on, motherfucker. Let's go.
No,
Well,
stop.
then shut your fucking mouth. Steven, dickhead. Trying to be funny. Trying is a key word.
Trying. Yes. That was the place that you said.
Please, just being a little girl, little Karen. Like I said, go out there and practice falling down and run out there. Fucking open with it. So you can go down. Yeah, this is in Tom. This is Kevin. Kevin is not as nice as Tom is. Kevin doesn't put up with bullshit. He gets nothing. It's a pussy.
And neither does he. Maybe you guys are actually really good friends. I've known Johnny forever. 20 years. 20 years. Maybe you're taking it. Maybe he's
I'm serving on fire.
Maybe she's
Don't take it personal. What did you say? Yeah.
I'm stopping it at exhibit 11 at 3 minutes and 34 seconds. So were you able to watch that, Ms. Burke?
Yes.
That was a fair and accurate depiction of that night?
Yes.
At the end here, we saw you walking out the back door, right?
Yes.
Did you ever come back inside of Tabby's?
No.
Now, I want to talk about after Kevin walks out the door, okay? I saw in this video that you stayed inside, is that true?
Yes.
Did you go outside onto the sidewalk?
No, not until later.
Okay. But when Josh and Kevin are outside, were you outside or inside?
No, I was inside.
So, did you observe what happened outside between Josh and Kevin while inside Tabby's?
Part of it.
And what do you recall?
I was looking for help. I did a quick assessment of the restaurant, like, was there anyone who could spring into action and help the situation? And no one was even seemingly aware that this was happening. And as I glanced out the window, I saw Josh outside the window.
And what did you see Josh doing?
By the time I saw him, he had a metal stool that was part of the bistro set, like a stool was over his head. I didn't see him lift it, I just saw it over his head.
And for the record, you just lifted your arms above your head, is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Kevin?
Not from the vantage point that I had.
So you saw Josh with the stool, did you ever see Kevin again from the window?
No.
Did you see Josh do anything with the stool?
No.
Did you hear what anybody was saying?
I didn't hear words, but I heard Jen scream.
Did Jen just scream or did she say anything?
I heard a scream.
Did you ever overhear someone say he has a chair?
I didn't pick up on that at the time.
Okay. After you walked out, where did you go?
I was running to find his friends, Kevin's friends.
And did you find them?
Yes.
Okay, who did you find?
His friend Tom.
And what did you do after you found Tom?
I quickly described the situation that was unfolding at Tabby's and said, you need to come get your friend.
And, okay, where was Tom?
He was near the concert that was happening out back, had ended. He had a friend that was in the band, and so he was standing there while they were tearing down to speak to his friend.
So did you come back to Tabby's with Tom?
Yes.
Okay. When you came back to Tabby's with Tom, where were you now? Inside or outside Tabby's?
Outside. We walked along the front sidewalk and approached from the front of Tabby's.
Did you go by Hometown Pharmacy then?
Yes.
Okay. What did you see?
I saw Jen just telling me that what she had just witnessed, and I saw Josh laying on the ground unconscious.
Okay. And did you see Kevin?
No.
Did you or Tom go look for Kevin?
I said, where's the guy that hit him? And Jed said he ran off.
Okay, did you go and try to find
Yes.
him? Did Tom try to find him?
Yes.
Where did you go look?
Well, Kevin had been the driver for their group that evening, so we went towards where the car was parked.
And do you know where that was?
I don't know the name of the street. I'm sorry, it's the same street I think that the American Legion is on. I don't know what that street name is.
When you went to the area, did you see the car?
I didn't. I wouldn't have known the vehicle or where it was parked exactly, but based on what Tom was saying, he said the car's gone.
Judge, object, hearsay.
Yes, the question was, did you see the car? The answer is, she didn't know what the car was.
Correct. I'll move on.
Next question.
Did you ever see Kevin again that night?
No.
And did you give a statement to police eventually?
Yes.
Did you leave Tabby's and Beer Snobs and all of that?
I live very near there, so it's all in the same area. So eventually I went home and an officer came to my home to get a statement.
Okay. Now you stated previously that Kevin put his number in your phone, is that right?
Yes.
Did you ever give that number to police?
Yes.
I have nothing else.
Thank you. Cross.
Thank you. You did in fact, that evening, well, probably late, maybe early morning, gave a statement to law enforcement?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And if I showed that to you, would you recognize it?
Of course.
Your Honor, can I just interrupt? Can we take the state's screen down from publication? Thank you.
Thank you. So first, I'm going to show this to you, ma'am,
Yes.
if I may. It's marked as Exhibit 102.
Attorney Shiro, can I just see that for just 1 second?
Here it is. Oh, sorry. I'll staple it.
Thank you.
I'll show you 102, it's 2 pages, ma'am. Is this the statement that you gave to law enforcement that morning?
Yes.
I'm going to publish this for a moment, but I'm going to ask you to keep that.
Okay.
Just I move 102 into evidence.
Any objection? Any objection?
Sorry, no.
102 will be received.
Judge, I'm going to publish it, and I apparently don't have the extra copy, so, ma'am, I'm going to ask you something about this, if I may.
You're going to publish it on the screen?
Yes.
She'll be able to see it on the screen.
Okay, perfect.
Any objection to publication?
No.
102 can be published.
Do we have a number for this one?
102.
Okay. Ma'am, it indicates a number of things about what happened that night. Is that correct?
Yes.
And obviously, this was given the same night of the event. Is that correct?
Yes, I think it was early morning
Yeah.
after the
Okay.
event.
And so your recollection of events would be clearer because it's close in time to the event. Would you agree?
It had just occurred.
So you recalled what you had seen?
Oh, I knew what I had seen, of course.
Okay. So when Kevin and Jennifer left Tabby's out the front door after Josh had reappeared, you looked out the window to see what was happening. Is that correct?
I glanced out the window because there was activity out there. I was still in the situation even though I was inside and they were outside. I was still part of what was happening, and I had just been holding on to Kevin's shirt tail to stop him from going out the door.
Right, ma'am. I just
So,
asked if you were watching.
Of course. I mean, it was a lot of motion, so I was standing there, and yes, I was observing what was in my view.
Okay. Now, just prior to Kevin and Jennifer leaving, Josh had come in and yelled something, is that right?
He came to collect Jen, is what I observed.
Did you hear him yelling anything?
He stuck his head in the door and said, "Come on, Jen." That's, that,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's okay. He stuck his head in the door and said, "Come on, Jen." And I think he was collecting Jen because they were going.
Okay,
I
stop,
asked you just
stop.
what he
Just
said.
answer the question.
Okay.
Thank you. Did he, being Josh, say something to the effect of, why are you still talking with that?
I just saw it on the
expert,
video.
Let the question finish.
Okay.
Mr. Shiro, finish your question.
Just prior, or when Joshua re-entered the doorway, he yelled something to Jennifer, is that right?
He spoke it, so I wouldn't use the word yell. He said, "Come on, Jen."
Well, there was loud music playing, correct?
There was music. I wouldn't define it as loud.
There was music playing, was there not? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And did he say something to the effect of, are you still talking to that? And then he uses a profanity. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear it at the time, but I have since heard it on the video that you just played.
Did that refresh your recollection?
No, I didn't hear that at the time.
Okay. So it indicates your statement now, ma'am, I'm going back to 102. You indicate that you, quote, "I saw through the window that Josh had a chair raised above his head to hit Kevin as he approached." Is that what you saw?
That was my statement.
Is that what you saw?
That is what I interpreted seeing when I looked out the window. Yes.
What you saw,
Yes.
correct?
I'm not being argumentative. I'm telling. I just don't want you to put words in my mouth. So, I saw a chair, and I just gave my testimony. What I saw was a chair over a stool over Josh's head.
He was holding it,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
As if he was going to hit Kevin, correct?
I perceived it to be a defensive, like as Kevin was approaching him, that he was defending himself is how I interpreted it at the time.
Well, what you saw was that he being Josh, had the stool above his head as if he was going to strike Kevin. Is that true?
As Kevin approached him. So that was my statement, as Kevin approached him.
Right.
Yes.
As Kevin approached, you thought, looked as if he was about to strike Kevin, correct?
I didn't see any hit. I just saw a defensive move of having something over your head. So if someone's approaching you, that I assumed that would have been the next thing, but I didn't see any motion or movement moving forward at the time. That wasn't what I observed.
I understand, ma'am. What I'm asking is whether your impression from what you actually saw was that Josh was about to strike Kevin as Kevin approached Josh.
Objection, asked and answered.
Yeah, I think I
Just
answered.
a minute. Sustained.
You also indicated to law enforcement that night or that early morning that I overheard someone say, and I think you put in quotes, he has a chair, or quote, he's gonna hit him with a chair, end quote. That's what you heard, isn't it?
Someone from inside Tabby's, that again, as I was kind of looking around the restaurant, like,
Yeah, the question
I'm sorry,
is a yes or no.
I don't
You
recall
want to hear the
that.
question again?
Yes, sir, certainly.
Would you restate the question, Madam Reporter?
You indicated to law enforcement you overheard or you heard someone say he has a chair or he's going to hit him with a chair. That's what you heard.
So if that's what I put in my statement, I just didn't remember that after this much time has passed. So
Does that refresh your recollection?
it does not.
Okay, but you don't deny that at the time of when you made that statement, that's what you recalled, correct?
I wrote, yes, I mean, I gave truthful responses when I was giving my statement at the time. I just don't remember it.
Okay. Did you see Brian when you looked out the window?
No,
Did you see Jennifer when you looked out the window?
no,
Did you see, you were able to see Josh for a period of time, or while you were looking?
yes,
Okay. And you didn't see Kevin, correct?
from the angle I had, I could not see anyone but Josh.
Okay. And you couldn't see anybody other than Josh, is that true?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have nothing further.
Redirect,
No, Your Honor.
this be released.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No.
All right, ma'am, you can go about the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You have another witness?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, they would call Brian Richardson.
Oh, right, yeah, that can't go up there. I want this and this. We can't take this with us. Yes, 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 yes. The last one was 102.
Mr. Richardson, would you come forward, please? Come to the witness box behind the court reporter. Sir, just step up on that platform. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. All right, have a seat. That black bar with the red light is a microphone. Keep your voice directed there and your voice up, all right? You understand?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, counsel.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Well, not quite afternoon. Good morning. Could you please state your name and spell your first and last name for the court reporter?
Brian Richardson, Bryan, Richardson, Richardson.
How old are you, Brian?
38.
And what kind of work do you do?
I work in a metal factory.
Did you know Josh Davies?
I did.
How did you know Josh?
Through my brother, and then we became friends.
Do you remember about how long you had been friends with Josh?
Just a minute. That microphone is, thank you. Go ahead.
For about 10 years, probably.
Okay. And did you and Josh have any common interests?
Yes, we disc golfed.
And would you do that frequently?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Is that mostly summertime, or are you really hardy?
Both.
Okay.
Mostly summer, though.
Okay. And have you ever been convicted of a crime before, sir?
3.
3 times?
Yep.
Okay. Directing your attention to the date of June 17th of 2023. Do you remember what you did during the day on that day?
I believe I disc golfed after work.
So you worked that day?
I did.
Do you remember what time you worked until?
2 o'clock.
Okay. And do you remember who you played disc golf with?
Josh.
Okay. And about how long does it take? I don't even know, to complete a round.
45 minutes to an hour, probably.
Oh, so much faster than real golf.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you meet Josh there, or did you drive together? Do you remember?
I picked him up.
Okay. And do you remember if Josh was drinking alcohol while you were disc golfing?
Probably.
Is that something he would commonly do?
When we're out, he'd have 1 or 2.
Okay. What would he drink?
Spotted cow.
So beer?
Yep.
Anything harder than that? Liquor?
No.
Did you ever know him to drink anything more than beer?
Not really. Whenever I saw him, it was just beer.
Okay. And so you think that afternoon when you were out disc golfing, you maybe had 1 or 2 beers?
Yep.
Did you stay together after disc golf?
I dropped him off and then we met back up later.
Okay. Can you tell me where you met up later?
I picked him up at his house.
Was he alone?
Him and Jennifer,
Who's Jennifer?
his wife. And
And you know, to the best of your recollection, Brian, about what time of day this was?
6:30ish,
Okay. And why did you pick up Josh and Jennifer at that time?
because we were going to downtown Heartland to the festival, Snob Fest.
So you agreed you were going to go together, the 3 of you?
Yes,
And you were driving?
I was the ride, so I picked him up.
Okay. Did you go right to Beer Snobs?
No, we went to eat first.
Where is that?
We went into Beer Snobs and they were full, so we went down to Enters.
And Enters is a restaurant?
It's a restaurant slash bar on Cottonwood Avenue.
And it's very close to Beer Snobs, right?
Yeah, we walked there.
Okay. So when you got to the downtown Heartland area, did you park somewhere?
Yes.
Where did you park?
At the old Stop and Go gas station.
Okay, so for the people that aren't familiar with this area, we've been hearing a lot about the pharmacy and
Yep.
Tabby's on Capitol Drive, right?
Yes.
You know those locations?
Yes.
Where is the old Stop and Go in relation to that?
If you're looking at the front of the pharmacy, it's just to the right of it.
Okay. So you were able to park your car in there,
Yes.
and then the 3 of you on foot went to Beer Snobs?
Yep.
Too crowded, so you walked to Enters?
Yes.
Which is how much further?
Quarter of a block.
Okay, real close.
Real close.
All right. Did the 3 of you eat dinner at Enters?
Yes.
Do you know if Josh was drinking during this time?
I don't remember.
Were you drinking alcohol?
I had one.
Where?
When we were at dinner.
Okay. Did you have any earlier in the day when you were disc golfing?
No.
So you had one what?
I drank a Miller Lite.
Okay. And you don't remember if Josh was drinking during dinner?
If he was, he might have. I don't remember.
Okay. Nothing stands out in your mind? Okay. And what happened after dinner?
We went down and kind of went to check out Beer Snobs. Kind of hung out and listened to the music. Just kind of had a good time.
Okay. And was it crowded, did you say?
It was pretty busy.
Okay. During the time that you were at Beer Snobs listening to the band, did you see Josh drinking alcohol?
Yeah, he was drinking.
Do you remember what?
I don't remember what they even had there.
Okay. Do you remember how many drinks he had?
I have no clue.
Okay. How about Jen? Was she drinking?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they had whatever they had. I don't even know what, like I said, I don't know what was there.
Okay. Were you drinking?
No.
Did you ever go to the bar and buy a drink?
No.
So you have no idea what they were even serving?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I was with them, but I don't know exactly.
Not really paying attention to that?
Mm.
Okay. Did you stay at Beer Snobs all night?
No, we walked down. They were trying to find wine, and nobody knew where wine was until later. And then we walked down to Tabby's.
Okay. So you say they were trying to find wine. Who are you referring to?
Jen and her friend. Well, Jen was trying to find wine, and we didn't know where it was. And then when we met up with her friend, she said that she knew a place. So
Okay.
we walked down.
What was Jen's friend's name?
Laura?
Had you ever met Laura before this night?
I have not.
Okay. And so this was your first time meeting Laura?
Yes.
Okay. And so Laura suggested she knew a place to get a glass of wine.
Yes.
And what was that location?
Tabby's Wine Bar.
Okay. At some point, do you all travel over to Tabby's?
Yes.
And how far is it from Beer Snobs to Tabby's?
We walked there, so it was, I don't know, a minute or two.
About a 1 minute walk, right?
Yep.
Okay. And Do you remember all four of you went?
Yes,
And where did you go in Tabby's? Did you go in the front door or the back door?
the back door, they have like a patio you can go up and sit on.
Okay. And were you expecting to meet anybody over there?
No,
Okay.
we just walked in, they were looking for wine.
Okay. And it was your understanding the girls wanted a glass of wine?
Yes,
So that's why you went there?
yes.
Okay. What happens when you get inside Tabby's?
The girls walked in first, we walked in behind them, and then we were introduced to one of the customers that was there already.
Okay.
Never met him before.
And what was the name you were told?
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay. Is Kevin present in this courtroom here?
Yes.
Can you identify him, please?
Sitting right there.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you pointed, but for the record that we have to make with the court reporter, can you please describe his appearance, what he looks like, and what he's wearing?
Older male, white hair, bald with a beard.
And glasses?
And glasses.
Okay. I'd ask the record to reflect identification, please.
Any objection?
No, sir, thank you.
Identification established. Next question.
So you're also meeting Kevin for the first time?
Yes.
And do you recall if he spoke to you directly?
Not to me.
Do you recall who he was speaking to?
He was talking to Josh about tattoos.
What do you remember Kevin saying?
He said, "Do you know what they say about tattoos? You're going to hell for ruining God's work."
Was that early in the conversation?
That was right after Jen, his wife, introduced him as her husband.
Those are the first words Kevin spoke
The
to
first
Josh.
words that I remember him saying were to Josh.
Okay. What was Josh's reaction?
Kind of joking around about it, saying how he wanted more, because I mean that was kind of his thing.
Okay.
About tattoos.
Did you speak to Kevin?
I did not.
Did Kevin speak directly to you at any point?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Do you have tattoos on your person?
I do.
Where?
My legs and then on my arms, you can't see them because my shirt's covered up.
Okay. And that night, did you have a t-shirt covering your tattoos on your arm?
Maybe the bottom of my sleeves, but my legs I had shorts on so you could see my tattoos.
The ones on your legs?
Yes.
Okay. But to your knowledge, this conversation or these words from Mr. Sehmer were directed at Josh?
Yes.
Okay. And when Josh made the remark, I'm going to get more or something like that, you said your impression is that Josh was joking around.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because he was kind of a joking guy. It wasn't, I mean, that's what he liked. He liked his tattoos. He always wanted more.
Did you hear Josh's words to be aggressive in tone?
No, it was kind of like, oh, I'm just going to get more.
Okay. At this stage, this is still right at the very beginning when you're first meeting
Yep.
Kevin. Did you hear Josh curse at Kevin?
No.
Did you hear Kevin curse at Josh?
I know he got heated. I don't remember any specific like swear words or curse words.
Okay. And after a while, let me ask it this way. You and Josh are standing there talking to Kevin. Do you
Yes.
remember what Laura and Jen were doing?
They were sitting next to us, and we kind of all were talking. Kevin was kind of on the other side of Jen and Laura from where we were.
At some point, do you and Josh move?
Yes, we went outside eventually.
I'm sorry, that was a bad question. From the time you initially met Kevin and you're standing there talking to him, did you move somewhere in the bar?
Oh yeah, so originally we were closer to Kevin, then we walked to the other side of where Jen and Laura were.
Okay. And so at that point, would you say Jen and Laura were between you and Kevin?
Yes.
And Josh and Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. And to this point, have you said anything directly to Kevin Sehmer?
No, and I don't think I did the whole night.
And did you hear Josh saying anything further at that point?
Besides getting more, that's pretty much the only thing I remember him saying.
Okay. When you and Josh get around on the other side of the girls and you're standing at the tables, were you and he talking?
Yeah, I was talking to him, kind of saying we should just go outside.
Why did you say that?
Because he made a comment about just going outside and practice stumbling, and just kind of seemed like it was getting to the point where I didn't want it to be.
Who's he in that sentence?
Kevin.
Kevin. So Kevin was saying those things?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
How did you interpret his words?
Judge, I object, it's irrelevant.
Overruled. You can answer.
I've never met him, so I don't know if he was kidding around, if he was serious. I didn't want to get it to that point. That's why I was trying to get, I was like, we should just go outside and, just kind of leave the situation.
Okay, you said that to Josh?
Yeah, I was, when I was right next to him.
Okay. You testified earlier, you don't recall ever saying anything directly to Kevin Sehmer that whole night.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Do you ever remember Kevin saying anything directly to you?
No, he pointed, but I don't know who it was at.
Okay. What do you remember about the point?
He was talking to Josh, and then he looked over. I was right next to Jen, so I wasn't sure who it was pointed at, me or her.
Okay.
I don't remember much of what it was about, what was said.
Okay.
All I know is he pointed at, I couldn't even tell you who it was at.
Okay. Was he saying anything when he was pointing?
He said something, but I don't remember what it was.
What was the tone of his voice?
He seemed like he was still upset of whatever happened with the tattoos, and just kind of went from there.
Do you remember any profanity used by Mr. Sehmer at this point?
Yes. I don't know exactly what it was, but he was really loud, and kind of aimed towards Josh.
Do you remember him saying anything insulting or derogatory?
Calling him Karen, or actually calling him Karen.
What does that mean?
Judge, I object.
What's your objection?
The objection is he has no way of knowing what somebody means by something.
Sustained.
What did you understand that to mean in your mind, sir?
Same objection.
Overruled.
It's kind of I don't know exactly how to say it. Meaning somebody who is kind of opposed to everything, kind of. I don't really know how to explain what people mean by that.
Okay.
Next question.
When he was saying these things, was he joking, in your opinion?
To me, no.
Okay.
He was still really loud and kind of in Josh's face at this point.
Okay. And throughout this, we're talking about Kevin Sehmer?
Yes.
Not Josh?
No.
Okay. Did you ever hear Josh make any derogatory statements about Kevin Sehmer, like you're a girl, you're a sissy, anything like that?
No, I don't.
Did you hear Kevin Sehmer say things like that?
Not off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Okay. Now, you said at some point you went outside.
Yes.
Tell me about that, please.
So we walked outside, and outside the door, you can go to the right side, there's a river you can sit over, and then it's the sidewalk to the Capitol Drive.
Okay.
I went and sat over the river on the benches, and then Josh kind of went off to the left side.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Ms. Guzzi to put up number 2, please, an exhibit, and show you on the screen, okay? And could you zoom in just a little bit? Just get rid of that white border, thank you. Okay,
It's in the witness box.
all right, Your Honor, this has been previously admitted. I'm gonna request permission to publish.
This is exhibit
2.
2. You may publish.
So, Mr. Richardson, do you recognize what's shown in this picture?
Yes,
What do you see?
the front of Tabby's and the pharmacy.
Okay, and you were just describing for us, this photograph apparently was taken during daylight hours, correct?
Yes,
And this was nighttime hours when this was all unfolding?
yes,
But other than that, is this a true representation of the layout?
it is.
Okay. So you were just describing for us, when you exited the bar, did you go out alone?
No, Josh and I left.
Okay. You were describing where you went when you
Yes.
got outside. Could you please, if you touch the screen, I believe an arrow will come up. Touch the screen in the area where you went and stood. Okay? And did Josh go with you?
Josh went and stood over to the right side of this picture.
All right, so if I don't want to have 2 arrows on the picture. So currently you see an arrow
Yep.
in the area where you say you were standing, right?
I was sitting down.
There's benches there, aren't there?
Yes,
Okay, and there's a little overlook of the Burke River?
yes,
Okay, that's what that railing's for.
Yep.
And the ground actually is like an embankment down to the river from there, right?
yes,
Okay. So you're standing where that arrow is. Are you able to show us on this photo where you saw Josh go?
yes,
Okay, so we don't have 2 arrows. I'm gonna ask you to draw the number 1 where Josh was standing. Okay, and that's near the front door to the hometown pharmacy.
yes.
Okay, and so were you 2 speaking out there?
No, I couldn't even see him because there's a little wall on the back of where I was sitting.
Yeah, all right, and you're just out there waiting.
Yep.
What did you think was gonna happen next?
I didn't think anything was going to happen. I thought Jen was going to come out and we were going to leave.
Okay. And you and Josh are not speaking to each
No.
other. Are there other people out in this area?
At this point, it was just us 2.
Okay. What do you remember? Well, strike that. First, may I preserve this as, I think we've used some of these before, so we might have like
2. What?
B or
B as in boy.
B boy? Okay, please preserve this as 2B.
Any objection?
No.
2B will be preserved and received.
Okay, so after you're in this position here, what do you remember happening next, Brian?
I remember Kevin coming through the door. And at this point, I was standing up. He came running through the door and kind of just ambushed almost.
Okay, so you saw him exit Tabby's?
Yes,
Did you see where Josh was at that point?
yes.
Where was Josh?
He was in this kind of the same, he kind of moved forward, but he was in the same vicinity.
Okay. Did you see Jen?
She was still inside the door.
Okay. And were you able to see Laura at this point?
I was not.
Okay. You said you had stood up.
Yes.
And were you still behind that little half wall there?
I was walking towards the front door so I could see what was going on.
Okay. And when Mr. Sehmer came out, what did you see next?
I was kind of towards his back, so I just saw him running towards Josh.
Did you see him do anything?
Yeah, I saw him punch Josh.
Prior to that, right when he came out the door, did you see him do anything?
No, I saw him running towards Josh.
Did you see a stool?
Outside there's stools. I don't remember ever seeing anybody with one.
Okay. No one?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Do you remember seeing a stool in motion?
No.
Check. Leading.
Overruled. Answer stands. Next question.
You don't remember that?
I do not. There was one on the ground by Josh, but I don't know who had it or how it got there.
Okay. Do you remember when you said Kevin kind of had his back towards you,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And where did you see him go?
Towards where Josh was.
And what was Josh doing at this point?
Kind of backpedaling.
Okay. You remember seeing that?
Yes.
All right. And what did you see Kevin do?
Kind of, he just kept going towards him, and then kind of just, they kind of looked at each other, and then Kevin punched him.
Okay. Did you ever have a stool?
I did not.
Did you ever raise a stool above your head?
I did not.
Did you ever threaten anybody with a stool?
I did not.
Did you see Josh with a stool?
I don't remember anybody being with a stool.
Did you ever see Josh swing a stool?
No.
Am I understanding correctly? You remember Kevin just coming out and punching Josh on the side of the head?
Yeah,
Sustained.
Trying to get to my next point.
I understand, but you've added information to the question for the witness. You need to ask the witness what he observed, and he needs to testify.
So after you see Kevin advancing towards Josh and Josh backpedaling, what did you see next?
Kevin kept coming at Josh and then punched him in the face, and Josh hit the ground.
Did you see anything in between that?
No.
Okay. Did you see Kevin actually make contact?
Yes.
Where?
On Josh's left side.
Okay. And did you see how Kevin made contact with Josh?
With his fist.
Are you able to demonstrate for the jury what you saw?
Yeah, he punched him.
Okay. So for the record, you used your right arm, correct?
Right hand, left side of the face.
And you had your fist curled in a,
Yep.
your hands curled into a fist, right?
Yes.
And you made a jabbing or a punching motion?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you remember seeing?
Yes.
And you remember seeing him make contact with the side of Josh's head?
Yes.
What happened next?
He fell to the ground and hit his head.
Who?
Josh.
Did you see Josh brace himself in any way?
No.
Did you see him try and catch his fall?
No.
Did you see Jen try and catch him?
I don't even know if Jen was outside by that point.
Okay. Do you remember seeing Jen?
When I think she might have still been in the door. After it all happened, she ran out.
Okay. Do you remember where Jen was?
Judge, I object.
Overruled.
I mean time, Judge.
Excuse me?
The question is vague as to time. I don't know. He says when Jen was. When?
You want to rephrase your question?
Sure. I want you to rely on your memory to the best that you can. Where do you remember seeing Jen, if anywhere, at the time Josh was punched?
Inside the door of Tabby's.
Where were you?
I was outside.
Okay. Are you near the door? Are you down the sidewalk?
I'm outside the door, more closer to the road, west towards the pharmacy, but not from where I was sitting. I was in front of Tabby's.
Okay.
Did you say less or left? When you said less towards the pharmacy or left towards the pharmacy?
Left when I'm coming out of the door. I was left. Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Are you able to approximate for us how much time passed between when Kevin came out the door and when you saw the punch being thrown?
15 to 20 seconds, maybe.
And are you able to estimate for us the amount of time that passed between Kevin striking Josh in the head and Josh falling to the ground?
A second or two.
Was there any intervening factor between Kevin punching Josh in the head and Josh going to the ground?
No, he fell right away.
at any point when you were outside and Kevin comes out the door, did you say anything to Kevin Sehmer?
No.
You're still telling us that you don't remember ever speaking a word to this man.
I don't think I said
This
it.
has been asked and answered.
Overruled, the answer stands. Next question.
Did you hear Kevin Sehmer say anything outside?
I don't think there were any words outside that I remember.
Okay, you don't remember Josh saying anything either?
No.
No words at all?
Mm-mm.
No? Is that a no?
No, sorry.
Thank you.
Just 1 second, please. Nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
You guys see counsel, please? All right, Mr. Shiro, cross-examination.
Thank you. Would you mind putting up that photo again? Just that- oh, I'm
Sorry, which
Would you-
one?
I could put in that photo up again.
The Google map.
The Google map, yes. No,
Number 2.
number 2, what we just
Well,
said.
you have to tell her which one you want.
No, the one, the photograph, not the photograph of the front, yeah, the one we just used, you just used. Okay. Judge, I've asked the,
Exhibit 2.
yes,
Molly, you want to turn on the, you want it published?
yeah, it might be easier, Judge.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Can you zoom in just a touch? Judge, I've asked the state to zoom it a bit. Okay. Can you see it, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, I can't really touch it and make anything, but I understand where you were sitting after you left Tabby's with Josh, is that you sat, what would be to the left, our left as we're looking at it, right as you exited Tabby's, is that right?
Yes.
And there is apparently a bench there, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. And that would be further in than the building itself, correct?
Yes.
And so when you're sitting, or if you were standing at that bench, are you able to see, like, for example, that black car that we see to the right there? Would you be able to see that while you were standing there, or no?
When I was sitting down, I couldn't see it. It's kind of tucked back behind a little bit from where that car is.
Okay. In order to see what was going on in front of Tabby's, would you have had to move?
Yes.
You'd have to move towards the road.
Yes.
Can you give me a sense of how far you'd have to move?
4 or 5 feet maybe.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't need that anymore, thank you. Okay, so you were with Josh almost, or much of the day, is that right?
Ever since, yeah, most of the day after 2 o'clock.
Okay. You had gotten off work and presumably he had also, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And were you pretty much, with the exception of bathroom breaks or things like that, you would have been with him the whole time, wouldn't you?
Yes, since
2.
Since pretty much 2 o'clock. Well, when he got off work, probably 4:30 or something like that.
Okay. And first you went to play disc golf?
Yes.
Okay. Did you and Josh and Jen ever go to some restaurant or bar before you went to Elders?
Enters?
Enters, I'm sorry?
Yeah, we went to Beer Snobs and they were full, so we went down the street to Enters.
Was there a place called Belfry that you went to?
No, that's in a different town.
It's in a what?
It's in a different town.
Okay, so from playing disc golf and then going to get him or get Jen, you were with him.
Yes.
First at after the disc golf, first at the Beer Snobs, which was not open or was too full, to Enders where you ate and drank. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, do you have any sense of how much alcohol, and by that I mean a beer, a drink, or a glass of wine, or a glass, or one of those cans of seltzer, the alcohol seltzers, how many he had?
All night?
Yeah, from the time you were with him until the time you last saw him.
Not offhand, I couldn't tell you a number.
Pardon me?
I couldn't tell you a number, but I mean, he had a few.
Well, a few typically means 3 or 4. Are you talking about significantly more than that, sir?
Well, I mean, if he had 1 or 2 when we were disc golfing, and then if he had another, let's say 3 or 4 when we were out in, 4 hours later.
Did he being Josh, appear intoxicated by the time you went to Tabby's?
To me, no. He was still coherent and still walking around, still talking to people, just enjoying the night.
Okay, and you know him pretty well, so you would have been in a position to know whether he appeared to be intoxicated. Is that true?
Yes.
All right. And then, so you and Josh leave, correct? The Tabbies.
Yes.
And was that your idea or somebody else's idea or a combination?
It was a combination of both.
Both being you and Josh, or you and Josh and some other person?
Jen and I.
Okay. And then you went over at the stool the bench that you spoke of, and Josh went over towards the area of the pharmacy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then at some point, did you see Kevin leave?
When he came out of the door of Tabby's, I was kind of standing up at that point, so he kind of ran by me to get out to where Josh was.
Okay, so you were in a position to see what happened at that point, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and you didn't see, for example, Josh picking up a stool over his head?
That I don't remember.
Well, would you have remembered?
If I would have seen it, yes.
Okay. And instead, you didn't see either Josh holding a stool over his head or Josh throwing a stool or anything like that?
I did not.
And you've been his friend a long time.
Yes.
And this was obviously a sad event for you.
Yes.
Now, you have been convicted of a crime, correct?
Yes.
How many times?
3.
So, you didn't see Josh either throw a stool or raise a stool over his head, correct?
That I didn't see anything.
And you would have been able to see it based upon where you were, correct?
At the time that Kevin passed me, I was behind him, so I don't know what happened. So I was going out to where the area was, but I wasn't out in front, so I didn't know if anybody had a stool. I didn't see one.
Well, what I'm asking is if you saw Josh with a stool.
No.
And you were in a position to see that from where you were.
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't see him swing a stool at anybody?
No.
Okay. Did you hear anybody yell something about he's going to hit him or anything like that?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't see Josh let me start over. You saw Josh backing up, you say?
Yeah, he was kind of backpedaling away from where the front door was.
Okay. Well, he was already pretty far away from the front door when you saw him, right?
So when he came out of the door,
He being Mr. Sehmer?
yeah, when Mr. Sehmer was already, when he was coming out of the door, Josh was kind of backpedaling away from the door because Josh came to the front door to see where his wife was because we wanted to leave. And then at that point, when he was backing up, that's when Kevin came running out of the door.
When Josh went to the front door, did you hear him yell something?
I did not hear anything.
Weren't you pretty close to him?
Yeah, but he was yelling into the building, and I was on the outside of the building.
Okay, was he yelling?
Well, he yelled, and what I'm assuming it was to say, "Let's go, let's leave," because we were about to go home.
Well, what did you hear him say, if anything?
I didn't hear anything. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. But when he opened the door, he was still standing on the sidewalk, wasn't he? Or kind of
He
at
was.
the threshold?
He had his head tucked in the door, so whatever he said inside, I didn't hear it.
Okay, so in any event, he being Josh, started moving away from the door.
Yes.
Okay, and then at some point, Mr. Sehmer and Josh are close to each other, apparently, correct?
Yes.
And did you see Josh make any movement towards Mr. Sehmer?
No, he was backing up away from him when he was coming out of the door.
Yeah, I'm not at that stage. I'm now
Okay.
asking you about when they came close to each other. Did you see Josh lunge towards Mr. Sehmer?
No.
Did you see at the time they came close together, that is Mr. Sehmer and Josh,
Outside.
outside?
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, appreciate that. Outside, did you see Josh lunge towards Mr. Sehmer in any manner?
I did not.
And you didn't see him swing a stool?
I did not.
You didn't see him even have a stool?
I don't remember a stool.
And again, because we've asked, I'm going to try to be done with this, but you have told us and are telling this jury that you were in a position to see what those two were doing at that point, correct?
Yes.
You must have, because you said you saw him get punched. Correct?
Yes, I was outside and I saw him get hit.
And you saw what Josh did moments before he got hit then, correct?
Yeah, he didn't do much. I mean, he was backing up and then he kind of was just standing there and then he got hit.
Okay, all right. And you said you didn't see any stool moving or anything, but you saw a stool on the ground next to Josh?
There was a stool on the ground. I don't know how it got there. I don't remember if somebody threw it, if somebody used it. All I know is it was there.
But you didn't see anybody do that?
I did not, and I don't know if that was when I was still on the back side of the wall.
No, I'm talking about when you were there, sir. I'm not asking when you couldn't see it. I'm saying when you were watching, did you see anything happen with that stool? Or any stool?
No, I didn't see anyone with a stool, but it could have happened when I was sitting down when Kevin came out of the door. I don't know if it was used at that point, but once I got up, I did not see it.
And you saw Mr. Sehmer leave, correct?
Yes.
And you saw him moving towards Josh?
Yes.
And you could see what they were doing?
But I saw his backside when he was moving towards Josh.
Well, I understand you saw his back, but you could see more than just his back, correct?
I mean, he's a bigger guy. I didn't
Well,
see...
he's not a balloon. I mean, he's a person, correct?
Yes.
And you've indicated you could see what happened.
I saw him go towards him, but I don't know if he had anything. I didn't see anything.
But you were able to see if Josh had something in his hand.
Yeah, he was facing me.
And you would see it if he had had a stool over his head?
Yes, I would.
Okay. All right. I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
No, sir, thank you.
All right, may this witness be released?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right, so you can step down and go about the rest of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break for lunch. We do have the court has a hard stop today at 3:30. So I want you to know that I'm going to try to begin our session in the afternoon a little earlier. I'd like you back here at 1 o'clock. Please do not discuss this case with anyone else or amongst yourselves. We'll see you at 1.
Thank you.